Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we are going to be ranking the best PGs in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM right here on this tier list. Before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 30,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day, tons of consistent daily MyTEAM content. Would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. As y'all can see, I'm trying to scramble up and randomize all these cards right now because 2K, or not 2K, Tier Maker, which is the website I use to make these tier lists, apparently has not done a very good job of it. They used to make it alphabetical, which randomizes it automatically, but I don't know why it doesn't do that anymore. Regardless, we have a bit of a messed up list right now, but that's okay because I think we've misorganized it a little bit more. So it's not just GOAT cards, then Invincibles, or then 100 overalls, then Dark Matters in order. I feel like it's nice to have a good mix. So hopefully we got ourselves a better mix of that now. And yeah, we got 48 of the best PGs in the game. If there's any PGs I leave off this list that you'd like to hear my thoughts on, feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to let you know. But yeah, first time we've done tier lists in a while. Hope y'all are looking forward to it. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. MJ, I don't care that he's a GOAT card. I can't put him higher than B. He's the worst of the GOAT PGs, and it's not even particularly close. Yes, he's got Patty Mills base, but his upper is bad. It hurts the card. Is he terrible? No. He would be terrible if his jumper was the way it normally is, though. His other 100 overall damn near might go D tier, and that's not a joke. But the GOAT MJ is still good enough to go B tier, but honestly, I almost want to put him C. I just don't think he's that good. Brandon Roy is better than MJ. I don't care. He is. His release is smoother and easier. He is just better. I think he's a better card. I think he's one of the better point guards in my team. His jumper is incredible. He's so smooth. Such a good card. Definitely a little bit slept on in terms of the top PGs in the game. Definitely a great card. Damian Lillard, undersized, yes. Great release, great movement, fun to use. Still can't put him higher than C tier considering he's only 6'2", but I do think he's a lot of fun. I think he's a very good short PG. One of the better ones in my team for sure. Larry Bird, I was really high on this card a couple months ago. Now that we've gotten so many elite point guards since, I just can't put him any higher than B tier. Yes, he's 6'9". That's his most valuable attribute. His SIGs are top tier as well. The jumper's not quite top tier anymore. It's just not, and that's okay. But I can't put him higher than B tier. I think this is a fair slot for him. Dirk, jumper's awful. I don't care that he's 7 foot tall. Jumper is terrible. I say that, no, he's B tier because he's 7 foot. It's hard to argue against 7 foot despite how bad his release is just because of that PG eligibility. And SIGs wise, he is pretty good as well. So you know what? I'll give him the B tier, low B. No, I'm not going to because he's got a bad same side hezzy too. I don't care. I'm putting him C tier. I don't care. I'm putting him C tier. I don't like his jumper at all. I don't like his same side hezzy. He's in a very important position to have a great jumper. He just doesn't have that. I'm putting him C. I don't care how big he is. I legitimately think Brad Beal's pretty good, but he's not any better than Damian Lillard. He's a couple inches taller, but they're pretty similar. Release could be a teensy bit better. His base is really fast. His upper's not exceptional. His fade's also not truly top tier. It's its own fade. I gotta go C tier for Brad Beal. He's not bad, but he's not great. Austin Reeves, another C tier PG. Good 300, good release, solid SIGs, very good SIGs. 6'5", pretty good. Like, he's good. He's just not unbelievable. And this list is so deep and so top tier that I think, he's low B. I'm lying. He's big enough, I think, at 6'5", with a pretty decent, not a great player, but an okay player build and versatile stats and badges and a really good release where I think he can go B. Wemby's S tier because he's 7'4". I almost don't want to put him S tier because animation-wise he's not, but he's 7'4". That's all you got to really say. With Pro 2 fade and a release that's not horrific, I think he's S tier. I just don't think you can not put him S tier. As much as LeBron's release could be a little better, he's still 6'9", dominant defensively, incredible animations, and a release that is pretty smooth and easy to green. Can't put him any lower than A tier. Really good card for sure. Lonzo's a really solid 6'6" PG. I like him better than Reeves. I'd go solidly B tier for him for sure. I like the card. I think he's pretty solid. Could be a little better still at this point in the year, especially size-wise, but he's definitely not bad. Hedo Turkoglu. Release leaves some to be desired, but he is 6'10" with great SIGs and a release that is okay enough. I think you can't put him higher than B tier. I wish the jumper was better because he'd be one of the best few point guards in the game, but I think B tier is totally fair. Goat Braun, S tier, obviously. Goat Braun is one of the best cards in the game, period. Exceptional release, exceptionally complete. S tier for sure, without a doubt. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever. Allen Iverson, he's 6 foot tall. His SIGs also are good. He might be one of the worst cards in this list. That card is booty cheeks. He is not good at all. Definitely would not recommend him. Cade Cunningham. I'm going A for Cade. Cade is really good. Great release, great fade, top tier animations across the board, super solid stats and badges. He's an awesome card. Got to go A tier for sure. 100 overall Luka goes C tier to me. Not a bad card, but just a mediocre release and only 6'7". Everything else is great, but can't put him any higher than C tier still. GOAT Luka does go S. Exceptional release, really, really improved card from his other cards because his release is so much better. And he's a really, really great card. I would probably put him low S, but I think he does deserve that S tier slot regardless. Derrick Rose is C tier to me. Release could be a little bit better, and he's undersized, but he does have perfect stats and badges. He's not quite a D tier PG, but he's definitely not amazing. Now, Anthony Edwards' release is bad, and he's undersized. He's a D tier PG. I don't care. He's staying in that D tier too. I think that's totally fair. Stephon Marbury is basically Derrick Rose. They're pretty much the same card, so they both deserve to go C tier. Release is very similar. Stat and badge wise very similar. Size wise very similar. They're basically the same card, and I think C tier is probably fair. I would put Clyde in B tier at this point. I still like Clyde. I think he's a good card. I don't think he's an unbelievably great card at this point. I think B tier is probably fair. Just a good but not insane option. James Harden, also probably be awesome offensive card, but undersized. Very fun animations, I will say that, but I still think you probably got to go B with him. Like, he's just not amazing, you know what I mean? Rob Dillingham's one of the better short PGs in the game for sure. I think he's probably very high C or low B. I don't really know. I feel like I'd take over Reeves. His release is so good. He's got Patty Mills base. He's a dog. He's very fun to use. I'm going B tier for Rob. One of the better short PGs in the game. Darren Williams is not quite as good as Rob Dillingham, in my opinion, but does still have a lot of the same perfect SIGs, really good release, all that type of stuff. But I think Dillingham's release is better. They're very similar cards. I'm going to go D, Will, and C. That feels pretty fair to me. Drew Holiday. They did not soup up this Invincible Drew Holiday card the way that he should have been souped at all. Bad SIGs at this point in the year, especially for an undersized PG at only 6'5", and his jumper isn't great either. He's an easy D tier. That's 3 Invincible PGs already in the D tier. Obviously, T-Mac with his changed upper, Oscar upper set of T-Mac is just one of the better jumpers in the game. Elite size at 6'8", great animations, perfect card. He, LeBron, and Luka are the 3 best GOAT PGs in the game, besides one other guy who we'll get to here in just a second. But got to go all 3 of them in S tier. Gary Payton, he's my favorite short point guard in the game right now, bar none. To the point where I actually want to put him in A tier. That's how much I like this Gary Payton card. He has maybe my favorite release that I've used that isn't Patty Mills base this year. I love this card, and I don't care. I'm putting him A tier. I don't care how small he is. He is awesome. He is fun to use. He defends much better than his size he says he should, because he's freaking Gary Payton, and I don't care. I'm going low A. I know that's a little high. I know he may not deserve that with his height. I love the card. I think he plays so well, and I'm putting him A tier. Kyrie Irving, sorry, SIGs and animations aren't good enough at this point in the year, especially as an undersized PG. D tier. Nikola Topic, one of the better PGs in the game, high A tier, really good release, great size, versatile, elite card, definitely A tier to me. Jerry West, booty cheeks, honestly. Rest in peace to the logo, but the card's not good. He's definitely D tier. I feel like these 5 guys are all kind of no-brainer D tiers to this point in my mind. Magic's jumper is awful. I truly believe he's D tier as well. I don't care how old this card is at this point. It doesn't really matter that much. I just don't think he's that good. I understand he's 6'9". He is like a way worse version of a Larry Bird, and I think he's way worse enough to where putting him in the D tier is actually fair. I just don't like Magic cards very much in my team at all this year with the way his jump shot is, and I think D tier is totally fair. John Morant, he is very good for a short PG. In fact, I think he and Rob Dillingham are probably my 2 favorites of the short PGs not named Gary Payton on this list so far. So therefore, we're going to put him in the low B tier as well. I know that feels a teensy bit high for Ja, but his jumper's awesome. His SIGs are top tier. His animations are phenomenal. He's an elite slasher. Feels super fast. Fun card to use. I'm going low B for him. Obviously, Kareem is the best PG in the game. I don't think it's particularly close. He's obviously S tier, 7'2" with basically perfect SIGs and an elite level jumper. You just can't compete with that. Elite level card, one of the best in the game. Definitely S tier. Trae Young is terrible. D tier, maybe the worst card on this list. Can't dunk very well. He's super undersized. Animations are good, but it's not enough, and his jumper isn't that great. He's obviously D tier. Steph is just Steph. 2K needs to find a way to make Steph. Can we get a really, really good Steph early game this next year, just like we did this year? We got his diamond card this year. The year before, we got pink diamond Steph day 1. We need to get an elite level Steph that can kind of slash early in the year, though. It'd be nice to get like an 85 driving dunk Steph relatively early in the year so that he can actually be the best point guard in the game for a while, because Steph is not quite as good in 2K as he really should be. Now, they did give him Kyrie dribble style Trey escape. His animations are good, but I just feel like he's never quite as good as he could be, and at this, especially late in the year, like D tier, I just think that's the right spot for Steph. Jokic is I think he's a slightly better version of Dirk, honestly. But honestly, when you look at their stats and badges and animations, they're not that far apart. Feels like maybe I put Dirk a little too low just because of his height. Because here's the thing, Jokic and Dirk's most valuable attribute is their ability to switch defensively. That's the thing they do the best, is providing elite level size. And is that low B or high C at this point? I don't totally know. Jokic was easily one of the best point guards in the game when he was the only tall PG. He was the best point guard in the game probably because of how much of a mismatch he was. Now that there's a bunch of size at the point guard position and at every other position, I feel like Jokic's value and Dirk's value have slacked a bit, but I'm still going low B for both of them. It feels fair. J-Kid, 6'4", not the best release. Everything else is really good. He's a good short PG, good enough to stay out of the D tier, but not good enough to be higher than C in my opinion. LaMelo Ball, jumper's inconsistent, otherwise he'd be B tier. I just think his jumper's really inconsistent. He's just not as good as he should be, in all honesty, and also they didn't change his behind the back. Should have done that. He's just not insane at C tier. Wes Unseld, really nice release. Awesome release. I think he's better than Jokic. I think he's super solidly B tier. Definitely a very good card. Definitely a little bit slept on at this point too. I feel like putting him in the B tier is actually very fair. Tyrese Halliburton has a change jumper that makes him much, much better. And at 6'5", he's got enough size where I think you could argue him in the B tier as well. He's a much better version of a card than he was earlier in the year with his jumper that was a lot jankier. So for me, I feel like putting him B tier is also fair. Jimmy's release isn't very good. That puts him C tier. Honestly, I just don't think he's all that good of a card. He's great defensively, but his SIGs could be a little better, and his release isn't awesome. That's not a recipe for great success as an overall card. Tim Hardaway is 6 foot tall. That's all I have to say. He's a 6-footer. That's just too small. Bob Cousy's jumper is bad and he's small. That's an obviously like no-go whatsoever. Definitely not a good card at all. Stephon Castle is A tier, really good card, top tier PG, awesome release. A couple of these draft cards are exceptional. I mean, even Dillingham is really, really good, as is Reed Shepherd, by the way. Although I don't think Reed Shepherd is quite as good as Dillingham. I'll go with him in C. Definitely a super solid card in his own right, though. But Topic and Castle are both definitely A, and I think you could argue them S if you wanted to. I'm just keeping the S tier really small. SGA, same level as Clyde. Him and Clyde have been back-to-back basically all year. In every ranking video I've done and all that type of stuff. Two of the best free cards they've dropped all year for how good they were for their time, but at this point I can't put them any higher than B tier. Very solid cards though. Dwayne Wade is the only other 6'4" point guard in the game that I'm putting in the A tier. He and Gary Payton are kind of head and shoulders above all the other short PGs in my opinion. Wade's Patty Mills base is phenomenal, really good release, and he also, with a 6'10" wingspan and great defensive animation, similarly to Gary, plays bigger than his size. On both ends of the court, he's a phenomenal card, and I think he also deserves a very low A tier spot. Mitch Richmond, the second best free point guard in the game, behind Kareem, obviously, does deserve an A tier spot in his own right. Perfect SIGs, elite level jump shot, really, really great offensive and defensive card, to be honest. Great option, and I would take him over everybody in the B tier. And then finally, 100 overall MJ, one of the worst cards on this list because his jumper is terrible and he's only 6'6". It's just not going to cut it. Definitely D tier at this point. And that is that for this list. Yes, we only have 5 S tier cards because these are definitely the best PGs in the game. Now, we could adjust this and move a bunch of cards up to equalize the list if we wanted to, but I think I'm just going to leave it like this because I think this is a pretty fair, honest representation of the PG spot right now. And hopefully this tier list is interesting to y'all and helps some of y'all out when it comes to deciding which cards you want to use for your team as we finish out NBA 2K24. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.